Hey guys, my name is Trey and I'm the founder and CEO of Summit Hound, and today I want to talk about how to make sure your dog listens to your every command. Now, if your dog is not listening to you when there's a bunch of distractions going on, they're pulling you up and down the street, they're aggressive, they may have some allergy issues, skin allergies, coat shedding, ear infections, or you don't know how to feed them, we have an exclusive community where we'll teach you step by step how to train your dog. We'll also show you how to fix their allergies from home so you can save some money going to the vet, and we'll also teach you how to feed them. So if that's something that you're interested in, click the link in the description to below and we'll see you on the inside. So the first thing is consistency. So a lot of times people teach their dog something, but typically what happens is they may have a two-parent household where dad tells them to do this, but mom allows them to do this. So we can use this as an example as far as I may tell my dog not to get on the couch, but then when mom's around, they're allowed to be on the couch. I may not feed the dog table scraps, but the mom may feed table scraps. These are the different inconsistencies that would make your dog start to do what they want to do, because at the end of the day, a dog is always gonna go for what they want. So that's also gonna lead us into the next reason why dogs don't listen, is making sure that the correction that you give that dog needs to be worse than the reward that they get. So for example, keep an inconsistency with saying, hey, you are not allowed in the kitchen. That's a rule that we have at our household. The dogs are not allowed to come into the kitchen for any circumstance. And that does not mean that they can if we drop a piece of chicken on the ground, or if there's some crumbs or something like that on the ground. So depending on your breed, we have bullies. Our bullies are stubborn and they want to do what they want to do. Now they're well trained, but at the end of the day, they are going to want to do what they want to do. So the way that you train this dog, or the way that you make sure that the dog listens to you, is that you make sure that the correction that you give that dog is higher than the reward that they're going to get. So in this case, the reward is the satisfaction of eating that piece of chicken off of the ground, meaning they have to cross into the kitchen, violating the rule that we have. And the reward for violating that rule is way higher than a no bad boy. They'll take that no bad boy any day if they can get the satisfaction of chewing up that food that was in the kitchen. So what you want to do is give them a correction for the things that they do when they blatantly disrespect or blatantly violate. So not things that are mistakes, but things that are blatant violation, where your dog knows that they're not supposed to do this, but they wanted to go and do it anyway. So some of those things can include using a shock collar. Some of those things can include using a chancla. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Nobody uses newspaper anymore, but you get the idea. So making sure that consistency is all across the board. Consistency paired with a schedule makes it a lot easier on your dog as well. If you're consistent in your pattern, and another word for pattern is a schedule, your dog can kind of automatically know what to do in circumstances, to where it gets to a point to where they're not necessarily listening to you. They're just predicting the rules that you've already created in the past, or following that pattern. That's going to get rid of a lot of things for you right there. Now we want to connect that to the corrections, right? So dogs are smart. They see a pattern, but if that pattern is not conducive to what they want, they're going to violate it depending on the breed that you have. Bullies are always going to do what they want to do. So in that case, that's where you cannot be a pushover. If you have these dogs, you need to be able to meet them there and give them a correction when they choose to violate. So another reason why your dog may not be listening to you, let's say, for example, you're out in the street and your dog does really well inside of the house, but when you get out in public, they totally ignore you. That's not necessarily going to be a consistency thing. That's just going to be more so a practice thing and a repetition thing. Those things are very similar, but they're not the same. So for example, the same thing that you teach your dog inside the house, let's say, for example, you've taught your dog how to heel, or you taught your dog the focus command. If you've always done that in the safety and the quiet of your own home or backyard, but then you go out into public and your dog totally just doesn't care about anything you're talking about, that just means that you haven't taken the time to do the same practices that you did at home in that space. That's a completely different arena. So take time moving forward to practice in that arena and have the repetitions in the arena that you want your dog to listen in. Last but not least is that you're just not believable. Your dog can look at you in the eyes and realize you said that, but you don't mean it enough to stand by it. You know, dogs are smart. Believe that. From the little dogs all the way up to the big dogs, they can tell energy, they can feel you, they know when you mean business and when you don't. So typically, a lot of times people are just pushovers. People, they get tricked up with the puppy eyes and they don't know how to stand their ground with their dog. And because you are a pushover, your dog gets to the point to where you start to see things like aggression, you start to see barking, you start to see pulling, you start to see resource guarding. You start to see your dog dominating you in ways that you may not necessarily even notice because you don't really understand dog body language. So just to recap, everything. First step is to be consistent across the board, right? If you give your dog the opportunity to choose today, are they gonna say I can get away with it? Or today they're gonna get on me? The dog is always gonna opt for the option that today you're gonna get away with it. Two, you need to be able to give your dog a correction when they violate purposely something that you know you've taught them and they know you've taught them. Third, you need to be able to practice the things that you've taught your dog in different arenas. Just because they got it at home doesn't mean that they're gonna get it outside. So you need to go and practice it outside and then have patience with them as well. Last but not least, you can't be a pushover. You need to say what you mean and mean what you say. You have to be believable. When you say something to that dog, that's all a trainer is gonna do. If you can't train your dog and you give your dog to a trainer's gonna know a little bit more than you as far as techniques and stuff like that. But the major difference is that the trainer says what they say and they mean it. The dog knows, hey, this guy is not gonna let me get away with this. Let me lock in and focus to what they're saying. That's all I have for you today. These are 4 things that you can do to make sure that your dog listens to you for every command moving forward. Now, again, they're dogs. They're not going to be perfect. But again, we only want to reprimand them for things that they're purposely violating. Mistakes happen, and that's okay. They're dogs. We're human. None of us are perfect. That's all I got. If you have any questions, put it down in the comment below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.